Համեցեք։
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. This is already a good tradition that we have these meetings because for us it is of utmost importance if we develop our programs, if we think on cooperation, really to integrate civil society. It is important to listen to their recommendations, sometimes also to criticism, but this makes, I think, the strategies and the programs we can develop more consistent, more transparent, and in the end, and this is our aim, valid for the citizens of Armenia. We all agree SEPA is of utmost importance. We are proud that the Armenian government has chosen the formulation that it is a blueprint for the reform process. So it is, if you want, a roadmap for changes. And we already had 3 different discussions on different areas. Today we are talking about the issue of labor rights. And this is, I think, a very important topic that affects every citizen who is employed and who has to find the right working conditions. So it is a question that we have quite a lot of human rights to respect, from the right to decent work and freedom of association, to equal opportunities and protection against discrimination, and also special attention should be related, including health and safety in the working place, but also the right to privacy at work, among others. International labor standards have grown into a comprehensive system of instruments on work and social policy, and they are backed up by a supervision system, because it's good to have confidence in people, sometimes it's better to control. And this is especially also safety regulations. Sometimes when I see people here working on construction sites, I wonder about certain elements of safety. So I think it is really important that we tackle this. And we were quite active with ILO together, also to reintroduce the labor inspection, because, as I say, we have to see that this is also a question of the right conditions of human rights, and therefore we think that these labor inspections are very important. Actually, there are still gaps, legislative gaps in social and labor right protection. And you say this is a process, is ongoing. I think it is important to name them. It is not a question of discussing who is responsible or guilty or so. That is sometimes a discussion here in Armenia that I find is not very helpful. It is more to discover the gaps and then to see what one can do. And there is also still a problem in the area of children employment, gender-based discrimination, and also abuses and sexual harassment at workplace. I think, therefore, it is really important to have a systematic data collection on cases of discrimination and social and labor rights violations, because this is then the basis in order to change a system. And let's say what we heard, and we had another program where we discussed this in detail, is discrimination issues identified by stakeholders in the labor market are mostly related to gender. And women still face discrimination at every stage of the employment relationship, already starting with a recruitment procedure. That's why we have implemented, and this will also play a role in future cooperation, a gender action plan, really to address these topics. Because what I hear sometimes, and naturally you can imagine it is a topic that is very near to my heart, women do not dare to take the responsibility. Women do not dare to take the challenge. And then I say it is always a question of conditions, and it is also a question of, let's say, the legal basis. Another question, which is still, I think, a problem, is the labor market for people with disabilities. Again, there you have also to create the environment that enables people to find adequate jobs, and also for the youth to really to see how we can cooperate. And that they really get opportunities from the beginning after the school. So I think this, again, there we will have a match between education and then the labor market to give young people the opportunities. We have currently 3 grants on labor rate questions, which are implemented by Oxygen, Helsinki Citizen Assembly in Vanadzor, and the Union of Employers of Information and Communication Technologies. These projects are closely working together with the Health and Labor Inspection, and I really want to thank them for their engagement. I think this is a very good example how government and civil society can really work together. I want to finish with, let's say, activities and achievements, because you have always to see both sides. So the introduction, or the ongoing introduction of e-labor oversight platform, which enables data innovation for better observation of labor standards. This platform will impact the situation at different layers, from professional capacity building to institutional support to civil society, to increased accountability and effectiveness in the government. We are going on capacity building activities, training. There is awareness raising, and there is also an open discussion on this. And I think this has to be seen very positively. There is a formulation of a joint policy dialogue on labor and social rights, and legal assistance and follow-up for people who complain about violated rights. And I think there is a willingness and an openness to address vulnerability and deficit for decent work for the need of the most vulnerable people. I think this is very important. It remains that we have, and this is also our target, our objective, to look after the most vulnerable people, because it is important. It starts in our heads to create the possibilities to include everybody. And I can only say we remain committed. I thank everybody who participates today. I thank especially the Open Society Foundation for this initiative. I think it is excellent that we really go into the details of our SEPA commitments, and if there are certain people who complain that democracy is not or not enough existing in your country, the fact that we sit together and have a dialogue. That's, I think, what for me is the most important thing, to listen to each other, to take it up, and then to come to positive results. This is exactly what I consider an asset of democracy. So thank you very much.
Շնորհակալություն Տիկին դեսպան, սեպայի, այսպես ասեմ, առիթը կամ սեպայի շրջանակները օգտագործել է այս քննարկման համար, կարևորագույն նշանակություն ունի, որտեղ համաձայնագրի 15-րդ գլուխը հենց աշխատանքային ոլորտի քաղաքականության եւ աշխատանքի պայմանների բարելավմանն են ուղղված, որոնք պետք է նաև գնան զուգահեռ տնտեսության աճմանը եւ